Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we took on the Minnesota Wild in the first round of the playoffs, and we managed to beat them to keep our season and our series alive, and now we're going to be facing the Edmonton Oilers in round 2. Now what's interesting is the Oilers didn't actually have that great of a season, just kind of similar to Minnesota. They were 42, 35, and 5. And I believe they were one of the last teams that got into the playoffs in terms of the Western Conference. So I hope that we have the upper hand in terms of technically our roster and all that type of thing. And hopefully that we get the series win and keep on rolling and get ourselves to a conference finals again. Because obviously with this being the final season, I want to get as far as possible. But as you can see with the series against Minnesota, this was an interesting series for us as we lost game 1 5-3. And I was a bit concerned by that. But then we managed to rally with 3 straight wins, 5-0, 4-3 in overtime, and another 3-2 win. Then we got shut out 1-0. I was thinking that they could have started to come back, but then we blew them out 6-2 in Game 6. And now we're up here against the Oilers, who also, I believe, won their first round in 6 games. So it should be a really interesting series to see who ends up winning this. I really hope that we have the upper hand in a sense. I know that our roster technically is dropping off due to age a lot of the players, but we had a really good first round offensively, led by Ryan Danner on the blue line. Like, Ryan Danner has had a very good offensive season this year. He led us in points during the regular season, and he's doing so as well in the playoffs. But pretty much everybody on the team is doing really well after round 1, so I very much hope that this can continue into round 2. You can see there's a ton of players with 3 goals in this series so far, or at least in the first round, I should say. And yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what happens once we get into the series against the Oilers. But yeah, pretty much there was a lot of players that didn't score goals. But when you get into like the assist range, pretty much everybody on this team, if we go to points, had a point. The only players that really didn't were the guys that didn't play a couple games, like Loins and St. Jacques played only 1 game. They didn't have a point. And then you got into like maybe the top 6 defensive pairings and like the guys that are DFDs, kind of get like more shutdown players that aren't normally there for scoring. So I'm okay with those guys not contributing. And I was very, very happy with Spencer Pusher's performance in round 1. He was very good, and he picked up a .924 save percentage in that first round. So hopefully he can build upon that in round 2. But anyways, before we get into round 2, let me show you guys the Oilers lines again, just in case you forgot, because I am pre-recording this episode, so there's no comments to go over. But I think for the finale episode, obviously I won't pre-record. That way you guys can give me exactly what you want to see in the finale. So if you want to see specific stats from other players around the league and all that type of thing, we could always go through like pretty much almost everything. And it could be a really long episode, so if you guys want to see anything in specific, let me know. Going forward with that, because that might end up being next episode if we are to get eliminated, which hopefully is not the case. But here's the Edmonton Oilers forward core. You can see it is pretty good. It's got a lot of good depth to it. It's a little bit weak in terms of like center depth in a sense, because you got an 85, an 82, an 80, and another 82. But I do still think this team has a very good offensive core, led mostly by Dante Bolt. We go to the defensive core. They're also pretty strong, except for Ludwig is a little bit weak, and Veilleux's kind of weak, but not super weak. And then goaltending-wise, they do also have a very good starting goaltender, and our former starting goaltender for a little bit in Coscarenta as the backup. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be definitely a tougher task for us to beat them over Minnesota, because Minnesota was a bit easier. I think they had a good forward core, but their defensive core wasn't that great, and that's probably where we took advantage of them. Well, Edmonton's kind of a more balanced team, so I think this could be a pretty even series, or we might just get completely outplayed because, like I said, a lot of our guys on our roster are dropping off quite a bit. But let's go to headlines here and put the guys that were in the lineup to start the playoffs back in, just because I want to go back to our original lines just in case. So that means also taking out St. Jacques here and putting House back in, even though there's a minus technically. And yeah, we'll rock with our original lineup and see if that is good to go. If there's any problems though, obviously we'll go back to what we kind of just had recently. But I obviously want to just go with like the best lineup possible. And yeah, Hartnell's continuing to drop off. He's down to an 81 overall now. Parrott's down to a 78 still. And yeah, this is just, it's not great having a lot of these guys drop off, but at least they're still producing really well. Like Danner is like having his best year of his career, I'd say, and he's 35 at this point. So Let's get into round number 2 and see if we can beat Edmonton and find ourselves in another conference finals, or will we be ending the series with a round 2 exit, which hopefully is not the case. So this is, I believe, is one of our first times facing Edmonton in the playoffs. I don't think I took a look ahead of time, so I don't really know actually, but I think we might have played them 1 time or 2 times, but it's very rarely that we play Edmonton in the playoffs in the series. So here we go, game number 1 on home ice, because once again we have home ice advantage for most of the playoffs, I think, because we're the second best team in the league, right? So let's see what happens here. First period of game number 1. Scoreless. That's good. That's kind of similar to what we had to in last round with Minnesota. There was a couple games where there was no goals in the first period and they're pretty even, so I do like that. Shots are 11-10 in favor of Edmonton, but nobody has scored just yet. Can we find a way to break the deadlock? Second period, still scoreless. Okay, so we have a goaltending showdown right now. I almost hit a shutdown for some reason, probably because I've been working on like a roster spreadsheet for like most of the last few days. And I've written down shutdown from like the X Factor for like tons of times, and that's probably just embedded in my head right now. Shots are 21-18 in favor of Edmonton. It is a scoreless game. Who is going to be the goaltender that breaks first? Let's see what happens in the third period. See if we could break this deadlock, get that first goal of the game, because that's a very important one to get. And we do manage to get it. Ryan Danner scores his first goal of the playoffs, and it's a shorthanded goal, but Dagenet answers right back. So we only had the lead for a little tiny bit. Now Felipe Austin scores for the Oilers. That's not good. Good to see Danner scoring a goal because he's been picking up a lot of assists. We're still down by 1. Can we tie it? No, we cannot. And unfortunately, we end up losing game 1, 2-1 on home ice because of a power play goal from Felipe Austin. So 2 power play goals against in game 1. That's not really ideal. We might need to look at changing up the penalty kill because of that. But at least Danner scored, so we did score a goal in that game. We were close to winning that game. But that answer right back, like it was less than a minute later from Dagenet, kind of scared us, and then Austin won it for them. At least it was another strong game from Pusher, but we need the offense to be a little bit better in this next game. And I think I will probably already address some stuff with the penalty kill, just because giving up 2 power play goals in a game is not what I really want to do, especially against an Oilers team that is this good on the offensive front, right? We want to kind of lock down their offense if we possibly can. So let's go to the lines here and take a look at our penalty kill and see what we could do to address it a little bit. Danner, Smith, Pelly, Leeson. I would probably put Leeson on a different unit than Keith, to be honest. Yeah, let's move like Larmour up and then put Leeson as the second line. So we'll go Larmour because Larmour's not even a center. We'll put him on this side. We'll put Gamble here, and we'll put Leeson down the middle because Leeson's an actual centerman. There you go. That's starting to look better chemistry-wise. And then, yeah, Parrott could still stay on one. Keith there, Leeson there, and Gamble. No, I'm going to take Gamble out. Wait, did I see Keith already? Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. Just wanted to make sure. We'll go with Parrott on this last one, because Avery Parrott's obviously the man, and obviously we want him just to keep scoring goals like he's been doing for I don't know how many seasons now at this point, probably close to 20. So there is game 1 done with. Let's get into game number 2 and see if we could at least tie the series up headed to Edmonton. Nashville is definitely the toughest team probably in the league because they did win the President's Trophy, and they are up 1-0 on the Blues in the Western Conference, not finals, but the second round, I should say. And currently in the East, Philadelphia and Tampa are up 1-0, just to give you guys an out-of-town scoreboard, so to speak. But here we go, game 2. Can we tie the series at least headed to Edmonton? Because if we lose our first 2 games, we're going to need to win both games in Edmonton to get back into the series. First period of game 2. And it's 3-1 for us, so that's a very big answer from this team. We barely scored goals last game, but we have 3 goals in the first period of game 2 and 17 shots on goal. So Gamble scored, then Bolt tied it up, but then Avery Parrott scored. Let's go, Parrott. And then Glenn Cross scores again. So, yeah, we're up by 2 goals going into the second, out shooting by 10 shots. So let's just keep on the gas. Might as well get as much goals as we possibly can in this one. Second period, 6-3. Yikes, they actually tied it up at one point. Dagenet and Brossoit early on, but we get 3 more goals. Leeson, Parrott, and Parrott again. Parrott's already got a hat trick in this game. This is insane. This guy literally just, even if he's like 41 years old, he's still picking up hat tricks in the postseason. Like, if somebody could go back, or maybe I'll have to go back on my own, check how much playoff hat tricks Avery Pear's had in his career, because I am actually pretty curious about that, because I know he has had like at least 3 of them, I think. He's been unreal in the postseason, because he's right now like the difference in this game. Let's see what happens in the third, see if we could lock this one down, see if Parrott could add any more to his hat trick performance he already has. But yeah, Parrott is just a man on a mission always in the postseason. Even when the team isn't doing well, he's always doing well, it seems like. Power play, and we do not convert on it, but we still have a 3-goal lead late in the game, and we are just going to lock it down and have a tie series headed to Edmonton, which is great. Exactly what we wanted. Final shots were 39-30 in favor of us, and we win by 3 goals. So Gamble from Klepis and Bobkov, paired from Hartnell and Klepis. Glencross from Keith, Leeson from Parrott and Hartnell, Parrott from Leeson, and Parrott from Hartnell and Danner. So Parrott had 3 goals and an assist in that game. What a channel legend. I think he's definitely in the Channel Hall of Fame if he hasn't already been written into it. Hartnell and Klepis also had multiple points, same with Leeson. Not too bad. The goaltending effort wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. I would say it's kind of average, because a 900 save percentage, at least it's not like an 880 range. And the goals against maybe a bit high, but he got the win. So good job, Pusher. Parrott the first star of the game, Leeson the second star, and Ricardo Hartnell the third star. I love that our old guys are still producing at this stage, though, because a lot of them have dropped off a ton. Like, Hartnell's down to an 81. He used to be like an 89, I believe, at his peak. And then you have also, like, obviously Parrott, who used to be like a 92, and he's down to like a 78. But these guys still produce really well. Like, age doesn't seem to matter at all to them. Let's keep our team the exact same. We just had a great game, so let's see if we could take a 2-1 series lead here. Now we're in Edmonton, so it'd be nice to at least take one of these 2 games to give us a better chance at winning the series. So here you go, game 3, first period. 3-0 us again. Let's go. I am loving this team right now. I feel like our team is just firing on all cylinders throughout these first 2 rounds, which is great. Larmour, Glencross, and Darby, like every single line has been really well constructed in terms of offense so far in this postseason. Obviously, that could just randomly stop, but hopefully it continues the rest of this round and maybe into another round if we are to get to the conference finals. So there's a 3-0 lead after 1 with the shots 14-10 in favor of Edmonton. So Edmonton's getting a lot of chances too, but so far Pusher has been pretty locked in, which is great. Let's see if we can maybe add a little bit to our lead just in case. Second period, 4-3 for us now. Yikes, that's not exactly what the doctor ordered. It was 3-2 at one point, Bolt and Ovechkin. Darby then gave us a 4-2 lead, but then Gardner pulled them back within 1, so that was not a great period. Pretty much reversed of that first period that we just had, so that's not ideal. I don't like being only up by a goal. I'd rather be up by the 3 goals we had in the first period. So shots are 24-23 in favor of the Oilers. We're only up by a goal. They're out shooting us by 1 shot. Can we find some insurance and make sure that they don't come back in this game? Third period underway. Let's see what happens. Let's get that insurance, boys. Power play opportunity here in the third, 5-on-3. We do not capitalize on it, but then we score afterwards. It's Darby on his former teammate Coscarana, who's now in net. Let's go, Darby. That's a pretty big goal at this stage. Final 5 minutes penalty kill. Nicely done. And yikes, Levo scores late with 43 seconds to go, but we managed to hold them off and win 5-4. So that game was a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be at the end of the first period, but we managed to escape with a 1-goal win. 5-4 to final. Shots were 34-33. Very close game in that one. But we do get the W. So Larmour from Danner and Butsayev, Glencross from Keith and Smith-Pelly, Darby from Gamble, Darby from Danner and Leeson, Darby from Danner. Darby had a hat trick in that game and I didn't even realize. What the heck? So we literally just had back-to-back games with a player having a hat trick. Damn, I didn't even realize that. I don't know how I didn't notice. But yeah, Ted Darby, what a performance. And Ryan Danner again, 3 assists. Danner has been crazy this year. I don't know why he's like so possessed, but he's been picking up tons of points, regular season wise and playoff wise. Like, this guy is trying his absolutely best from the back end to get us into potentially a category where we could win a Stanley Cup. So we're up 2-1 in the series. The Nashville Predators are up 3-0 on St. Louis. Nashville is the team, I believe, that knocked us out last year in the conference finals, if I remember correct. So we might have a rematch of that, which will be interesting. Obviously, they won the President's Trophy when we came second to place. Remember that too, though. Philly's up 3-0 and Tampa's up 3-0. So we're the only team that's in a 2-1 scenario right now, which is kind of surprising. And yeah, Danner's up to 14 points in 9 games. Unreal. Let's keep the team the exact same. We've won 2 straight games. Can we take a 3-1 stranglehold on the Oilers? You've had 2 great offensive games in a row. Last game was very close, though. So hopefully this game we can kind of just run away with it somehow, though. And not give up as much goals. First period of game number 4. And it's 1-0 us. That's a much better defensive period. I mean, actually, we didn't give up any goals last time in the first period, too. But Avery Parrott scores. He has been unreal so far in this playoff run. Like, I don't know how much goals he's up to, but I know in this series alone he's at like 4 or 5, I think. Shots are 9-3 in favor of us after 1, so we didn't give up a lot of shots in that opening period. Koskarainta's in net, too, which is interesting. I don't know if their goaltender got injured or Koskarainta just came in because maybe the other goalie had like a minor injury again. Let's see if we could add some insurance in the second, because that would be great. And hopefully we have a better second period than last game. Second period. 2-1 for us. Okay, that's fine with me. Larmour makes it 2-0. Dagenet gets them on the board. Shots are 23-13 in favor of us, but we're up by a goal. Let's once again find some insurance and lock down this game here, boys. Third period underway. Let's see if we can get that insurance marker. And Albrecht ties it up for the Oilers. That's not great. Not a good way to start the third, especially when we're trying to look for insurance. Come on, boys. Let's get that next one. We're into the final 10 minutes of the third period. Power play, and Parrott scores again. Let's go, Parrott. He's having a crazy round right now. That's like 6 goals, I believe, in the series, or 5 goals. Something like that. Vico gets the empty netter, and we're 1 win away from going to the conference finals. Well, I didn't really expect to go to the conference finals in this last season, but here we are. This team is always a surprise for me. Like, this team always outperforms the Chicago series by a mile, and I don't really know what the case is, because we've went through a couple coaches over the time I've been with Anchorage, because obviously Joe Thornton retired, I believe it was last year. So this team is still doing good even without Joe Thornton, which is crazy. So Parrott from Leeson, Larmour from Jansevsky and Schultz, Parrott from Darby and Danner, and Vico from Keith. Let's go. I'm really liking our offense right now. Parrott the first star, Dagenet the second star, and Larmour the third star. Like, I think our depth scoring is probably one of the best in the league, I would say. Because having guys like Vico kind of help with that depth scoring, I mean, he hasn't really done that much this postseason so far. But having those kind of guys that could score on multiple lines, like second, the third line, that really helps when you have that behind a guy like Avery Parrott, for example. So we're 1 win away from the conference finals. Edmonton's 5-5 versus 7-3. The Nashville Predators have completed the sweep over the St. Louis Blues, which means if we win our next game, we will be facing Nashville in the conference finals. And Tampa is also in the conference finals, but the Islanders are staying alive right now against Philly. Let's keep the team the exact same. Might as well, right? Because honestly, there has been no problem since that first loss in Game 1, which is pretty much the identical thing to us in Round 1. Because Round 1 against Minnesota, we lost Game 1, but then we won 3 straight games. Technically, we should be losing this game if it continues on that same trend, and then we'd win the next game. But I just hope we can close this out as fast as possible. So let's keep the team the exact same and see if we could close out the Oilers in 5 and head to the conference finals. And obviously, in the conference finals, it would be our toughest task yet. First period of game number 5. Scoreless. I like it. Good defensive hockey. We need to have defensive periods that are good too. Because we are a good offensive team right now. There's definitely some periods where we're not that great defensively. So it's good to have those scoreless periods sometimes too, to just show that we could actually play defense as well, not just offense. Shots are 10-5 in favor of us, but it is scoreless. Can we get the game's first goal? Second period, 2-1 Oilers. It's not terrible. Dagenet and Zagas score for them. Schultz pulls us within 1, so I think that might be Schultz's first playoff goal, maybe his second, but that's one of his first goals. Shots are 25-14 in favor of us, so we're definitely outplaying them, but Fedoruk is having a bounce back game for them. Can we find a way to tie this game up in the third, or are we going to a Game 6 situation? Come on, boys. Let's get that next goal. Come on, Parrot. I know you have more goals in you. You always do. Don't want to always call up on him too much, but he's literally a machine in the postseason. Come on, boys. Let's get that next one. Final 5 minutes of this third period, still down by a goal. Power play late in the game. We do not capitalize, and unfortunately, we lose 2-1. So our offense was not really there in this game, and goaltending was okay, but unfortunately, their goaltender had a really good game, and we end up losing this one. So yeah, that was Schultz's first ever playoff goal from Jansevsky and Butsayev. So we are going to another Game 6 situation back in Edmonton. Hopefully, we could end the series just like we did against Minnesota, and hopefully we don't go to a Game 7, because I do not want to be going to a Game 7, because obviously that's always scary, and it's even more scary when the series could be ending very soon. So let me just make sure our lines are ready to go for Game 6. See if there's anything I want to do in terms of changes, which I don't think there is. Parrot's up to 8 goals in 11 games. Leeson's been great. Hartnell's been great. I'm looking for anybody that's been bad, which right now, it's like nobody. Like the fourth line hasn't really done much offensively, but that's okay. Jansevsky's probably been one of our worst players with only the 2 assists. What about on the defensive end? Not really seen anybody super bad. Tulipov's a -1. I could always take out Tulipov for Hausen, put St. Jacques in again, but I don't know. Pusher's been pretty locked in for most of the playoffs, so I think we're going to keep the team the exact same for the next game and hope that we could close out the Oilers and get ourselves to the conference finals again. Okay, so let's get into game number 6 and see if we can knock them out. And yeah, then we'll be playing Nashville in the next episode if that is the case. So here we go, game 6 in Edmonton. Let's get a win on the road and close out the series here, boys, please. First period of game number 6. And we're down 1-0. Not ideal, but we're still in this game, obviously, because there's a long way to go. Cheng scores, and the shots are 12-6 in favor of Edmonton. I'm not liking that our offense seems to be kind of drying up a little bit these last 2 games. We only had 1 goal last game. So far, we only have 6 shots through 1 period. Hopefully, we could have a good second period for like offensively, get more shots on goal. Even if we don't score, as long as we get some shots on goal to hopefully pressure that goaltender into allowing a goal in the third period, that'd be great. Second period, 2-1 Oilers, so at least we got the game tied back up, but Tosagas scored after Bobkov did for us. So it's now a 2-1 lead for the Oilers with the shots 27-18, so we're getting pretty badly outplayed in this one. We just need 1 goal to tie this up, and another one to potentially give us a series win. Come on, boys. Parrot, Keith, I don't know who else I want to call upon. I almost said Claxton out of my head, but I was just like, wait a sec, Claxton's retired, so let's see what happens in this third period. See if we're able to tie this game up, or are we going to a game 7 back on home ice. Penalty kill in the third period. We kill it off. Penalty kill again, and they get a goal right afterwards. It's Jeffrey on to make it 3-1. Scatcherd scores. We're going to a game 7, it looks like, which is not what I had in mind. Our team was playing so good, and all of a sudden our offense is dried up, and we're giving up a good amount of goals in this one. And yeah, we're going to a game 7, which could be the last game of this entire series. Like, our entire series is on the line, obviously for round 2, but also for this YouTube series in general. Like, I hate game 7s, and when it's like this type of scenario, it's just like, it's even more nerve-wracking. Like, we're definitely doing a real-time simulation of this game, but we got to make sure we're ready to go for game 7 here, because or else if we lose this game, that's the last time we see Parrot and all these other guys on this team. But obviously, I'm not going to be simulating up to like the awards and finishing up the last season and stuff like that in this episode. That would all be next episode if we are to get eliminated. But let's see, what do we want to do to change maybe some of the complexion a bit? Let's move Derek Heath up into the top 6. Trying to think of what we could do to get the best results potentially. Darby's good at face-offs apparently, which I didn't actually really know. So let's like flip-flop this around. Maybe actually Keith will stay third line center. We'll move Jansevsky over to center as well, maybe. Let's take out Schultz for game 7. Put in Loins. And we will also take out Tulipov. We'll take out Tulipov for this game and put in St. Jacques. And we will put him on the right side since he's an offensive D-man. And yeah, Pusher will be in net for this game. So this is the team we'll run for potentially the last game of the series, depending if we get eliminated or not. Parrott, Leeson, Hartnell, Gamble, Darby, Bobkov, Vico, Keith, Glencross, Larmore, Jansevsky, Loins, and then Danner, Butsayev, Klepis, Smith, Pelly, Howes, and St. Jacques. And obviously Pusher between the pipes. I am not ready for this at all because, like I said, if we lose this game, this entire series just comes to a close pretty much, which is not what we want. It is going to be Philly and Tampa in the conference finals in the East. And once again, winner of this game will face Nashville in the conference finals. Come on, boys. Don't lose 3 straight games and end up losing the series for me. We have not scored much goals in the last 2 games. We were doing great offensively before, and I've seen this kind of story before, where your offense is doing great and then it just dries up like this. So I am very skeptical about this game coming up. 2 goals in our last 2 games. 6 goals allowed. Let's see what happens. Game 7 on home ice. Obviously, we're probably going to jump in regardless if we get eliminated or not, because we want to obviously see the last little bit of hockey in Anchorage. But obviously, if this was a real team, this team would still exist after I left probably, because I think I've set this team up pretty well for success in the past, and I don't think this team would ever relocate. So let's see what happens in Game 7. Do we have another series in us, or are we going to get knocked out in Game 7? Come on, boys. Yeah, let's go. Ricardo Hartnell scores first, but they answer right back. That's not ideal. That is not ideal that we gave up a goal right back, and Gardner makes it 2-1. Damn it. Come on, Pusher. You got to have a strong game here, man. Because our offense hasn't been good in the last 2 games, so we need you to be good in between the pipes. And we're down 2-1 after 1. Shots are pretty close, 10-9, but we're down by a goal. Usually when you score first, it's not really that great, especially that early on, and then you don't score afterwards. Let's see what happens in the second period, see if we're able to find a way to tie this game up. This is probably the most important period of the season right now. So come on, boys. Parrott, I will call on you again. I know you have goals in you. Please get this game tied up. Come on, boys. Vico too, maybe. Parrott scores. Let's go. That's why I call upon you, man. That's why I call upon you. Because you always deliver. Like, you deliver more than any other player, I think, in the past. Whenever I call upon him, he scores. I don't know why. And Larmore scores to give us a 3-2 lead late in the second. That is a massive goal going into the third period. We have the lead 3-2. Shots are 22-19. We're a period away from going to the conference finals, but we definitely need some insurance because we know the Oilers could make some quick strikes. So here we go. Third period. Do we have another series after this, or are we getting knocked out? Come on, boys. Let's get some more insurance. Let's get some insurance. Penalty kill. Please kill it off. Nicely done. Nicely done. Just keep it up. Penalty kill again. Nicely done. Okay, guys, so for some reason my Elgato stopped, like it froze basically mid-simulation at this point in the important game number 7, but I'll let basically the rest of the gameplay from that game play out, so it'll just be audio, and then we'll basically come back after that is done, and I will show you guys the Nashville Predators that we're going to be taking on in the conference finals. Oh my goodness, this is such a close game. And yeah, we're not going to intervene in this because we're not in the conference finals yet, but Parrott, the empty netter, we are going back to the conference finals again, as Avery Parrott picks up 2 goals in a clutch game 7. And despite being down 2-1 at one point, we win 4-2, and we are going to be facing Nashville in the conference finals. Okay, so welcome back. Let's go over the Nashville Predators lineup and our player stats and all that things, the stuff that you guys would have missed because the episode froze in Game 7. Really hate when my Elgato does this, especially when the series is pretty much coming to an end. I really just want everything to be recorded, but my Elgato sometimes just completely acts up, and I never used to have this problem, but for some reason it just has been like that for like the last 6 months or so. But anyways, let me show you guys our stats after the 2 rounds, and I'll show you guys what Nashville is looking like. You can see we have fantastic depth scoring so far this postseason, led by Leeson and Parrott mostly on the offensive front, but the depth scoring has been very good throughout our forward core. There has been a couple of guys that haven't really done much, but that is okay. Then on the defensive side of things, you can see Ryan Danner still leading the team in points. He's been really good, 16 points and a plus 11. And then you got guys like Klepis still doing good defensively. Same with Smith-Pelly. Butsayev, who's been a really good pairing guy for Danner. St. Jacques, who had just a point in that Game 7. And then you have Tulipov and House, who've been kind of more lockdown defenders. And then goaltending-wise, so far, Pusher has been really good with that .915 save percentage through 13 games. So everything's looking pretty good. Let me show you guys what Nashville is looking like compared to us. I'll show you guys first the regular season, what they were looking like, because we know that they won the President's Trophy, and we just came in second place. But you can see it's going to be probably a really interesting series, because we are better offensively than them. They were better defensively, and also with the special teams, we were better on the power play. They were better on the PK. So if we could outscore them, obviously it's a good thing. If they lock us down, then we're going to be getting into a little bit of trouble. And also postseason-wise, so far at this point, they are 8-2, while we are, I believe it was 8-5. Yeah, 8-5. But you can see right now at this point, let me go actually to the Western Conference. We are technically the better offensive team through 13 games. They are the better defensive team once again. Our power play has really struggled this postseason, so I'm really hoping that fixes itself in the conference finals. And then also the penalty kill for us has been really good this year, and it is better than Nashville's so far in the playoffs. And both teams have been really good on the road, so I think it's going to be a really close series, but obviously I hope that we manage to beat them, because if we do manage to beat them, we get another crack at a Stanley Cup in this last season, which would be a pretty awesome way to go out, at least trying to go for another Stanley Cup, you know. So let me show you guys Nashville's lines again. Obviously, we did play them, I think, last year in the conference finals, but just in case you forgot, a lot of their roster, I think, is similar, but there is some changes, I think, too. But you can see they're kind of lacking a little bit of depth on, the forward group. It does have a lot of 80 overall plus players, but you have, a 79 on the second line, which is a bit weird. You also have Menard in the lineup, who's at 74, so the forward core I wouldn't say is the best forward core I've ever seen, but it's still solid because you got Paxbu, Mackey, Denisov, Naslund, who are all pretty solid, even Rourke, I guess. And then on the defensive side of things, obviously Devin Lawrence is a really good offensive driver from the back end, and they also do have Chapman, who's solid. But the rest of these defenders, I don't know how this team is good defensively, but they must have a good defensive coach or really good chemistry on the back end, but for some reason, these 4 guys all are in their lineup, and they're all 70 overall guys, which is a bit weird. And then goaltending-wise, you can see this might also help their defensive play, as they have 2 really good goaltenders. Pettinen's won some Vezinas in this series, and Zinger was pretty good this year as well as the backup. And then there's their depth as well. They do have some okay depth forwards. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft Glory franchise mode. So I apologize about the freeze mid-Game 7. But likely, obviously, with the edit, it won't seem as bad. But still, it's really annoying when that happens, especially, like I said, in a crucial situation like that. I'm just really hoping that I don't experience anything else like that in the rest of the series, because obviously, this is the last year. So anyways, let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.